I'm Josh Evans, and I love to help businesses build the right culture within their organizations so they can be more profitable. Do you want more engaged employees? Do you want your company to be more productive? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to share with you the tools that I've used with hundreds of companies varying in size from 60,000 person conglomerates down to 5-person teams. So get ready and join me so we can build the right culture for your business.
Good morning, I'm Josh Evans, and welcome back to my show. I'm the corporate culture expert, and I'm here to help you make your company phenomenal. I want your culture, your organization to be envy-worthy, and that's why I'm here. Anyway, just welcome to my show. And I had some neat ideas for what I was going to do today, but what I really want to focus on the fact that you need to actually give you do. You need to. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about that book that came out year before last, right? Mark Mason's The Subtle Art of Not Giving. Okay, he didn't have 3 cuss words in there. It's just one, right? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Blank. So here's the thing with it. The book itself is actually pretty good. Right? And if you're familiar with it, it became a New York Times bestseller. Good for Mark. Awesome, right? But the second thing is it has an expletive in the title. It has a bad word in the title of the book, and it became a New York Times bestseller. And so it's intriguing to people. They're wondering what's going on. That's very interesting. That's fascinating. What is this, right? And it has some great takeaways in it. And some wonderful insights. I actually liked some of the stuff, right? And the goal of the book is to help people to say no to the wrong stuff in their lives so they can focus on the things that are most important to them. That's great. I talk about that all the time, right? We have to say no to the stuff that we don't need in order to get the stuff that we truly desire, truly need. And it's a great thing. It can almost be, but the problem I have with it, right? And it can be seen as permission to shed unnecessary things from our lives. And as a concept, it's great. However, beyond the cover, it's begun to give many of the impressionable readers, right? And I'll say the impressionable readers because my parents are going to go buy that book and read it, right? Their generation doesn't buy that sort of a book. My generation does, right? The Xers do. Y does. Right? The millennial generation will buy that stuff up. We're looking for justification in the way that we act. Boom, there it is, right? That everybody gets a trophy generation as somebody helping us rationalize our actions and making us feel better about it. There you go. That's not the problem I have with the book, though, right? If you take the book out of context, it becomes an endorsement for complacency, right? And it becomes an authorization for living half-heartedly. And that wasn't Mason's intent, right? Mark didn't mean to do that with this book, but yet here we are, where people are using this book to justify half-assing other things in their lives, right? And here's the thing. If we tolerate that sort of a thing, right, tolerance is tantamount to endorsement in these sorts of activities. And so if we have team members on our team that are not giving a blank about their work or not giving a blank about the things they're supposed to be doing and justify them by saying, well, no, I'm focused on what's important to me. And what's important to me is walking my dog and getting 6 lattes every afternoon. That's the wrong things. The problem is this book is giving people permission to do that. The book itself is great. It's being taken out of context, and I see it all the time. I'll give you an example, right? People start justifying not doing certain things when it becomes less important to them. It does. It really does. Early on in my career, I had a guy that I worked with. We worked together over a year, and we're hanging out. He's a very smart guy. I like the guy, right? He's ambitious. And one day over lunch, we were friends. We were close enough, right? Almost friendly enough to where he could tell me what was going on without being part of the office environment. So we were at lunch one day, and he goes, Josh, man, I've been interviewing for this new job, and I think I'm going to get it. They're putting together the offer right now. I'm going to take it. I just want to let you know that I'm going to be handing over all my stuff to you because I'm going to be taking this new job. I think they're going to bring me on here in 2-3 weeks or so. I was like, oh, cool, man. That's all good for you. Where are you going? We had the whole discussion about where he was going and what he was going to be doing. It's a very similar job, very similar company. But it's more money. Yeah, I'm not going to blame somebody for going for more money. If he actually cares about what he's doing, yeah, great. So here's the problem. Over the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, you can see that he's got this new job on the horizon, and he just goes, screw it, to his old job. And so he sat next to me, right? He sat in a cube next to me. And so you could just tell he just checked out, right? He'd occasionally send off emails. He'd show up to meetings, but not really participate. He was never really on time for work, but he wasn't really late. It was that kind of spongy 30-minute time where you're like, was he here already or not? Because he would act like he was already there. I don't know. You could just tell he wasn't in, his heart wasn't in it. He wasn't in it. He just checked out, right? So he stopped giving projections for whatever he's going to revenue-wise for the next quarter. He's like, I think it'll be around this. We'll see, though. There's a lot of stuff up in the air. These very ambiguous terms that could mean anything, all because he was justifying not really doing his job because he had another job lined up. He was justifying just half-assing everything at the job he was currently in because he had something else on the horizon. Now, here's where it gets kind of funny. 3 weeks into his little charade, I asked him, hey, so when you taking that off? When they get? He's like, oh, actually, man, they just got hit with some kind of sanction or something like that, and they had to put a freeze on all hiring. I was like, what? And so now he had been burning the bridge at his current job. He was like in the process of like lighting the match and like burning that place down, right? Burning his whole reputation that he built. He was a dedicated employee, and now he's just not there, right? We thought he was going through depression. We thought maybe he lost a girlfriend or a loved one. I don't know, right? We had no idea why he was. Well, they didn't have any idea. That's what they thought. I knew why. And this new job, right? The boat that he was supposed to jump to pulled away from the dock. He doesn't have that option anymore. And you can tell, like he's in despair because he knows that he's been half-assing his work, right? He knew that he stopped caring, that he stopped giving a bleep about it. He knows that he did. And so our management ended up pulling him into a meeting, right, with a couple of the managers, I guess the services manager and then the sales and marketing manager. And they pulled him, they kind of confronted him like, hey, so is something going on in your personal life? Because you're not bringing yourself to work anymore. We don't know what's going on here. We had earmarked you for this or that, and you're not dependable anymore. What's going on? And like, I don't know if the guilt got to him or what, because he came clean to them. He's like, look, I've been interviewing for another job. I thought I had it. It just got taken away. I don't have that job anymore. And you know what? These men, I'm gonna give it to these managers because they handled it right. They wanted him on their team. They knew he was a good employee. And everybody gets tempted by more money occasionally here and there. I said, look, do you like working here? This all came from my buddy afterwards, right? But they asked him if he liked working there. He said, of course I like working here. I was chasing this and that. It's like, well, look, we would like you to stay on. This coming to light, we could let you go, but we want you to stay on. We do. We think you do great work. You do this, and this well. But here's what we need you to do if you're going to stay here. And then they got to list a few things that they needed corrected in his behavior. Not just we need you to care again. Not just we want you to actually focus on the work again. They could do a few other things. We need you to step out and go after these types of clients more. We're going to need you to do these specific things as well. And now your quota is a little bit higher. But we think you can handle it. We know that you have the ability to handle it. We need you to re-engage here. We need to come back to work. We need you to start caring again. Because our clients need you. Our team needs you. And he took this so well. He's like, man, I feel honored that they brought me back, right? It's like taking that girlfriend back after they leave and then try to do better and then come back. I don't know if I could do that. But this company did that because they knew that they liked this employee. And it's a neat tactic, right? You can ask yourself, if this person were to leave and then they wanted to come back, would you take them back? And if you would take them back, what are the things you would like them to fix? And that might be the new standard for how we approach and address everybody's yearly reviews. And I don't think yearly reviews are enough. We should probably do like quarterly reviews. Maybe we should do weekly. No, weekly reviews is kind of crazy. Monthly reviews is too crazy. Quarterly reviews is pretty good, though, because it gives people time to adjust before the end of the year. If you're just sitting on some suggestions for the whole year, right? Now you got to wait, a few more months for that to actually implement. It's ridiculous. Nevertheless, way down that tangent, come back to this. You actually have to give a bleep. I'm not going to drop the F-bomb. My mom listens to these podcasts sometimes, and I feel bad when I drop really bad words. Okay? I just do. Anyway. Nevertheless, here's the obligatory back in my day speech, right? And yes, I am a millennial. I'm one of the older millennials. But back in my day, when we wanted to hang out with somebody, I would pick up the landline in my parents' house on that long spoolie cord and like try to walk into the pantry, right, with it like looping around the corner. And I'd get on the phone and be like, hey, it's Philippo. And his mom would go, 1 second, let me get Philip, come to the phone. And Philip would come and hey. I was like, hey, Philip, you want to go to play at the park? Or you want to go catch, turtles? Or what do you want to do? He's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, okay, I'll meet you at the corner of this street in 10 minutes. Okay. And we'd hang up and we'd go. And I would leave my house, get my stuff, and I would be there waiting for him. And he'd show up there too. And if it was, we were both there within 10 minutes. Cool. And we'd go to the park and have fun. See you later. It was a great time. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Here's the thing though. If he hadn't shown up in like 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, I would be really worried about him. I would actually be like, oh my goodness, he must have got hit by a car or attacked by a dog. I should go towards his house and check it out and see what's going on there. That's what I would have thought. Right? And today, I can set a lunch appointment with somebody. Right? Another millennial. Hey, what's going on? Let's go grab lunch. We're going to meet at, 11:30 at this restaurant. Perfect. See you there. 11:30 will roll around. I'll get a text. Hey, I'll be a few minutes late. Okay, people hit traffic, and 10 minutes after that, you get a text, oh, dude, something came up. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. Now, when did people get such a lack of respect for other people's time, for one question? And the second thing is when do people stop giving a crap about other things in their life? Right? We're so flippant. People don't commit to plans anymore. Now, if I get a group of texts together, God, and that group text, isn't that like the closest thing you've ever been to being a hostage in a hostage situation if you don't want to be part of it? I was in Europe one time, and I was attached to this stupid group text with my family, and they kept texting me. And my phone was in my bag, and so I didn't see it. And so I got blown up by this group text. It cost me dozens of dollars for stuff that I didn't even want to be part of. Until I had to, unsubscribe or check myself out of that group. It was ridiculous. Group text. I hate group text. Anyway, but if I get a group text going with all my friends, like, hey, we're all going to go out for this person's birthday on this day. Y'all ready? Cool. We're going to meet here. Is that good? And nobody commits. Nobody wants to commit. Everybody leaves their calendar open in case something better arrives. People stopped caring. People stopped engaging. People stopped giving a shit. They stopped caring. They stopped giving a beep. And it bothers me. It's not a subtle art of not giving a beep. We need to actually give a bleep. We need to actually care. We do. Too often we justify these things. And I know I do it too. But we need to actually hold true to our commitments. We need to actually care about the things that truly do matter, not just the things we want. Okay? Like if I commit to go help my father, mow his back 40 acres. He didn't really have a back 40 here. But if I were to commit to do that on like a Sunday morning, and then my buddy goes, hey, let's do brunch. I'm not going to go cancel on my father, right? I've committed to that. And to be honest, that's probably more important than brunch. But we justify, oh no, I'm building these relationships. And no. You just want to go drink, screwdrivers and mimosas at 10 in the morning. Look, we actually have to care about things in life, about things in work. Everything hinges in our society upon people actually caring about the commitments that they make and actually following through with those things. You can't half-heartedly be successful. Ask any successful person out there, they don't do it half-heartedly. They're fully in it, right? They don't justify knocking off a little early on a Friday. They don't justify sleeping in. They don't justify missing meetings and those sorts of things. Now, if they have real reasons, that's fine. But too many of us rationalize things and make stuff up, and it's just too easy. And so while I like the book, right, that Mark came up with, it's a good book. People are using it as justification for terrible behavior. That's it. They are. There's my big rant on that sort of a thing. Real quick. So how can you actually give a bleep? How can you actually care? How can you actually give a crap about the things in your life that you're supposed to? Here, I'm just going to give you a few quick things, right? First, know what's important to you. Now, when I say that, there's a lot of things that should be important to you. I'm sure family and friends are very important. Your dog is very important, whatever. Those sorts of things are very important. Interpersonal relationships, very important. What's also important, though, which I'm sure you would agree with, in your work, having a paycheck is probably important, right? Keeping your job is probably important. Keeping your boss happy is probably important. And so within that realm of things, that enables you to maintain personal relationships and to have fun and to have a place to live and food and go out to eat, right? And take your dog to brunch. Okay, that the money from your work allows you to do all of the other things that you enjoy, right? But you actually have to care about your work. You can't show up and just half-heartedly go through the efforts. And 71% of the population apparently does, but you can't do that and be really successful. You just kind of scrape by. Is that acceptable? No, it's not. All right, so you have to know what's important to you. You truly have to know what's important to you. So here, I'll give you an example. You know what? I'm not going to give you an example. Figure that one out on your own. Just kidding. That was really mean. No, let me go on to the second one. I'll give you an example that involves both these things, right? So the second tip, right? After you know what's important to you, don't make excuses for approaching those things, right? Don't procrastinate. Too many of us procrastinate. So here's the thing. I was working for this organization, and I knew I had to fly up to Canada to meet with some clients, okay? And so I went ahead and started setting meetings. Cool, got that meeting set, awesome. I was there for, I don't know, about 5 days. And, I got a couple meetings on Tuesday, on Wednesday, a couple meetings on Thursday, and then like one meeting Friday morning before I flew out. All right, that's about what it was. I had 4 or 5 meetings that week. Anyway, I set these meetings. I get it all down in the books. I get them in the calendar. The clients agreed to meet with me, all that sort of thing. And then I kind of pushed off. I was like, well, should I book travel? I was like, no, you know what? I'll just wait to book travel. It's usually cheaper as you get closer. And I saw about a month and a half out. I was like, it usually gets cheaper as you get closer to the date. And it still didn't do it. And I was like, and then one day I remember I was in my office and I was like, I should probably book that travel. It's like, no, I'm going to go ahead and do this expense report instead. So I went over and did a couple of Slacktivities, right? Did my expense report and then forgot about it. Flash forward, it's like a week and a half before I'm supposed to be in Calgary. And I go, oh man, I haven't booked travel yet. Luckily, we had a rate at a hotel in downtown, a phenomenal hotel, by the way. But I had a rate at the hotel, so I knew I could get the hotel room for I say reasonable. It's ridiculous there. If you ever go to Calgary, it's super expensive. You'll see. But the flights, it skyrocketed, right? They're like 2.5 times what they had been originally, right? It's ridiculous. Originally, they were like $900, and now they were like $2,500, $2,600. Like crap. And yeah, I got to expense it, right? But I feel bad about this sort of thing because it was on me. I just put it off and put it off and put it off. It's not that I just didn't give a crap about it, right? It's that I gave other stuff my attention. I should have cared more about that in the moment, but it ended up costing the organization I worked for a couple grand. And while it's probably not that big of a deal to them, right? We can't do those sorts of things in our own lives or our own work, right? Or if you're a manager, you don't want your team doing that, right? You got to think about that. It raises your OPEX huge. You can't be doing that. So, all that to say that don't make excuses for not doing something you're supposed to do right now, right? Don't procrastinate. John Miller, the guy that wrote QBQ, a really nice guy. I had his daughter who's helping him run the organization on my podcast recently too. But that guy talks about a story in his book, Question Behind the Question, where there's this big piece of plate glass that he had moved out of his house for some reason or another, and it was sitting up against like a fence, and he thought, like, oh, I shouldn't move that. And he goes, I'll do it later. Well, a couple hours later, his child at the time, and they're adult now, but his child smashed this piece of glass and cut themselves. And if he had just done it then, not procrastinate, if he had just actually followed through with it, right, then he could have saved that whole situation, right? Do it now, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You actually have to give a bleep. Now, John does give a bleep about his children, I promise. Absolutely he does. But I'm just using that as an example because he talks about that too. You have to do it now. Don't procrastinate. Don't put stuff off. Now, the third thing, right, is yes, you have to say no to what you need to say no to. You do need to say no. Because, look, some people have the problem of saying no to everything. Don't listen to me at this moment, right? Right? You need to start recommitting to the stuff that you're supposed to. But the people that say yes to everything, they get overwhelmed, that take on too much, right? That burden themselves too often. You actually get to say no. There's a polite way to say no. And in fact, sometimes no is more polite because you won't be too strained. You'll do better work with the stuff you've already committed to. Have you ever found yourself, and I've had myself do this, right, where like I overcommit, right? Like, okay, you know what? We're gonna wake up, we'll go to breakfast as a family, and then we're gonna take my kids to a birthday party here. Then we're gonna go to the pool, and then we got dinner at grandma's house. And like, man, you get like 2 activities in, I'm like, oh man, this is brutal. This is brutal dragging 2 kids around doing all these activities. And by the time you get to the last one, I don't know if I really want to do this, right? And I committed to watch something on Netflix with my wife. And so now you get home, and like, and now I got to give up. Like, the thing I really want to do is hang out with my wife. It's like, I'm tired. I don't know if I can stay up and watch something. That's the thing, right? And we overcommit ourselves. Nobody gets the best part of it. We start off excited, and then we just kind of wear down. Right? So you need to say no to the stuff that isn't actually necessary. Now, all the people out there that are saying no to too much stuff, you need to reevaluate what's really important, what you really need to get done. Because that's what this entire thing's actually about, right? Is you actually need to care. You actually need to give a bleep. So this thing's real quick again, right? Know what's important to you. Right? Don't make excuses or procrastinate. And then say no to what you need to say no to. All right. Well, you know, I had a client recently, and we were meeting one-on-one, and we were helping get them better speaking skills. So I'm working with this executive, and we're helping them kind of run through some of these traps because they have a big presentation coming up, and they're trying to prepare, and they want to make sure they do a great job to represent their organization. And so we're going through these conversations, and all of a sudden, the next week, she calls me up. She goes, Josh, I cannot meet this week or next week. I'm stacked with meetings. I'm on the East Coast this week, headed down to Florida, and then next week I'm headed out to LA. I got more meetings out there. I just cannot justify us getting together. I don't have time for it. And I really respected that. Well, I'm disappointed I don't get to meet with my client because, I enjoy their company and I feel like we were making some good progress. We'll make up those meetings later. But this is somebody who knew how to prioritize. This is somebody that knew how to actually go after the things they really cared about. They were generating business. I'm a cost center to them, right? Yeah, I'm going to help them in the long run. Yeah, it's going to be better. Yes, they'll probably get more clients because I work with them eventually. But in the moment, you can't let those other things slip, the things that are most important to her. She might even enjoy hanging out with me more than she enjoys flying to Boca Raton to talk to a bunch of people about her software. She might. I don't know. But they knew what's more important to their end game, their goals, what they're trying to do. She actually gives a bleep. So, in your life, if you're like her, right, where you feel like you're doing something and another thing comes up that's much more important, I don't mean seems more enjoyable. I'm not talking about brunch over cutting your parents' lawn. I'm talking if something more important within your organization comes up, be willing to put something on hold, right? That's not necessary. Actually give a bleep to help you focus on the things that you want. All right? And if you're in a leadership role, you can do the exact. That applies to you, but also applies to your team. Help your team care. Help your team find the things that are truly priorities in their work, so they can get to the things that they enjoy more. Right? And maybe stop throwing busy work on their plate. We all know that kind of thing happens. Anyway, I'm Josh Evans, and thank you so much for joining me on my podcast. If you want to find out more about me, you can check out my website, joshuamevans.com. Hit me up on any social media at EnthusiasticU. Or shoot me an email. Maybe if you have any questions, maybe I'll answer it on one of my shows. info@joshuamevans.com. Y'all have a great week.